This comes from rarethief.com. Is that it? Rare? Company Rare,
yes.
we all know them up. So there was a planned but canceled Goldeneye 007 game that was targeted to be on Xbox Live Arcade. Basically a reskinned remake. And what's cool about it is somehow a video came out online showing at least a handful of levels that were done and some of the multiplayer levels, and it looked like they were...
And you could swap between like old school graphics and new school graphics on the fly.
They did during the gameplay. So it showed several missions. You had Dam, Facility, Surface, Cradle, Aztec. They did a multiplayer for a couple of rounds, but it was only one player, so it wasn't much they could do besides shoot the other guy when you right into him.
I believe they retooled some of the levels for multiplayer, including, I think they said Dam was one of them.
So I get on GoldenEye for having... I hate the multiplayer experience on 64. I was used to playing, Duke Nukem online. I played even Doom a little bit online in the day. I thought, what the hell? What's so special about this game? It's because at the time, not everyone had computers yet in 96.
Right.
When this came out, it was in 95. Not everyone had computers in 96, 97. So it was a big deal to play a first-person shooter, but also play competitively even on a TV that's, only 30 inches. You got to have 4 people looking at it. I could understand it, but since that wasn't what I was used to, I didn't like it.
Same.
I didn't like the joystick.
That was my beef.
But I think the single-player campaign is still really fun. I think it's a damn well put together game for the time, especially. They didn't have a huge amount to work with those. That's the best they could do with those polygonal pieces at the time.
I really like the objective-based nature of the first-person shooter.
Sure, you had to find.
The single-player mode.
Sure, you had to find keys. You had to blow up little stuff, little security cameras. There was a part you had to shoot out the bottom of the rail car with your watch. And it followed the movie for the most part. They did a good job with it. Outstanding soundtrack. Fucking brilliant soundtrack. So I just could never get into it because of the limitations what I talked about. And plus, honestly, it's somewhat dark, a lot of it.
Oddjob and Jaws were cheap-ass characters.
They were cheap-ass characters.
But that was the one cool thing about the remake. They mentioned they had an option to make everyone's height the same, or the hitboxes the same at least, so that they lost their advantages based on their height, which is pretty cool.
So what I'm trying to get at in a roundabout way is that this version looks really fucking cool.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of fun, actually.
So when I first started watching, I'm like, well, this is a 10-year-old game at this point. This isn't, an Xbox game.
20-year-old.
Well, I mean the remake.
Oh, okay.
But even 10 years old, I'm like, wow, is that what it looks like on the 64? Then, so when they switch in the middle of the gameplay to the 64 version, you're like, holy shit, does the 64 version look terrible?
Yeah.
It's like, wow, they couldn't even do anything with the sky, could they? It's just like a gray mess in the sky. So I would have played and enjoyed this version a lot if this had come out. I would have bought it probably on my 360, which I haven't turned on in like 3.5 years. I would have bought it and played it.
So I can't remember why, because I think no, we wouldn't have mentioned it. They did end up doing a Perfect Dark remake.
They did.
For the 360. I bought it, played it with my friends. We really enjoyed it. And I can't remember if they did that first and then tried to do I think they tried to do the Goldeneye one, canceled it, and then did the Perfect Dark one. And I'm trying to remember what went wrong and why they wouldn't have done the Goldeneye one, because it probably would have sold more. And I initially thought it would have been a rights issue, but Rare was still under Nintendo at the time that Perfect Dark happened, so I'm wondering...
Nintendo has publishing rights to GoldenEye, at least that original game, I think. I think that's what it was.
But wouldn't they would have had publishing rights to Perfect Dark as well?
Maybe it was a different deal, but I think...
I just don't understand the legalese, I guess, of it.
Remember, they came out with a GoldenEye game, but it was a totally different game. They used a Daniel Craig character, different levels entirely, so they kept the name... When did that come out? About 2010 or 11?
Yeah.
They kept the name, but totally different missions.
Yeah.
And so that was their way of keeping the name. But yeah, I think Nintendo had to give sign-off in order for this to happen. So why would Nintendo give sign-off on an Xbox Live game? I don't see that happening.
Yeah, but that GoldenEye game ended up coming out on PS3 and 360.
But it wasn't the original GoldenEye.
Right. Okay. I see what you're saying.
So I think Nintendo has rights to the original game.
But somehow they didn't retain rights to Perfect Dark or something like that.
That makes the most sense. Otherwise, it would have come out. Why not?
Yeah.
But I'll just say this. One of the reasons I would have played this game, one of the worst things about the original GoldenEye is the massive drops in frames at certain times when there's a lot of shooting going on or explosions. It goes to like 10 frames a second unplayable. At that
Which is
point,
why Perfect Dark required the expansion pack.
So this eliminates that. It looks beautiful for, well, at this point, a 10-year-old game. It looks great. It was cute that they still managed to, like, probably had models of probably developers on like the guards and everything. Looks like they updated that, but it's the same as that game. It's just we just have updated sprites and models versus what we had the 10 years before on it. It looks beautiful. So check out the video. Not a huge amount more to say about it, except it's smooth. And if you love the original levels, maybe this can get released in some aspect. There was that remake though that people did. It was a fan game that they redid it with modern sprites. I never played it though, so I can't comment on that at that point. So, do you have any fond memories of playing Goldeneye back in the college days or high school days?
No, not really. And it's for the same reasons you said. Like I said, I enjoyed the single player for what it was. The multiplayer, I never so much got into. One, because Kevin was a dick and always cheaped the shit out of the game. Two, and it's not to sound like an elitist, but it was for the same reasons as you. I was just used to Doom and Duke Nukem
and having good control of a game. See, the problem with GoldenEye was that, like, I couldn't get comfortable enough. I never played enough to get comfortable enough to figure out which of the 4 control schemes I liked the best. So I was like, oh, is this the one? So using the joystick as the mouse kind of works, but I'm still not used to it versus a keyboard and mouse. I'm just like,
I was the kid who was like, after a few games, I was like, can we play WCW versus NWO? Please?
And it's not like I had to win, all the rounds. Yeah, I'm competitive, but I didn't feel like I couldn't go even up to like half my standards playing it. I was getting slaughtered by everyone. I wasn't used to the weapons. Didn't know where the spawn points were, and I didn't know where the fucking armor was. So I felt like I never had a chance in hell to even get even remotely good enough to have fun. I could even be middle of the fucking pack, or if we played enough, I can get middle of the pack with still a control scheme that I didn't like. So I was like, all right, screw that.